Julian Schnabel is here. He was named Best Director at the Cannes Film Festival for his new movie, The Diving Bell and the Butterfly. It's based on the memoir written by the late Jean-Dominique Bauby, formerly the editor of French Elle. At the age of 43, Bauby suffered a massive stroke which left him almost entirely paralyzed. Here is the trailer for the film. I am pleased to have my friend Julian Schnabel back at this table. Welcome back.
Thank you, Charlie.
Congratulations, too. Best Director, Cannes Film Festival.
That's what they say.
What do you say?
I say it's a big surprise for a painter.
Oh, come on. You know, you're a filmmaker.
I'm a filmmaker, too, now, I guess, yes. But unusual circumstance, nevertheless. It was amazing, and it was amazing, yeah.
This is a movie about death, in part. Life
yes, definitely.
And death. The death idea intrigued you.
Definitely.
Tell me why.
Well, I've been scared to die my whole life. I've had a huge problem with it. My father, you met my father? Yes. Did you know my father, Charlie? He was 92 when he died, and he'd never been sick in his life. And he and my mom were married for 60 years, and most people would sign up for that life. And he lived with me. And when he died, he was terrified. And I thought if I was a good son, I would be able to rob him of that fear. And I wasn't able to do that, but I think that I did that for maybe somebody else's father or for somebody else's son. It was a self-help device making this movie.
A self-help device?
Yeah. Yeah, to help me deal with my own death. And I think it worked. And so I'm a lot less scared to die now. And I think most people, if they look at this movie, you know, the Jean-Dominique Bauby was reporting back from such a specific place. Nobody had ever reported back from that place before. And so it was somewhere between life and death, but he had consciousness. The only way he could escape from his body, which was he described as a diving bell, was through his imagination and his memory. And the way he did that, being a writer, was to create a job for himself. So every day, 5 o'clock in the morning, he'd think about what he was going to say, and at 8 o'clock, the person that was going to transcribe his notes would come in, and he'd spend the day doing that. And at the end of the day, he'd get up and do it again. And somehow he was able to leave that diving bell, and he gave us the point of view of the butterfly. And in that, he had 20/20 retrospect vision. So here's a guy who said, my life was a string of near misses. All the women I was unable to love, the moments of joy I left drift away, a race whose result I knew beforehand, but I failed to bet on the winner. You know, had I been blind and deaf, or did it take the harsh light of disaster for me to find my true nature?
We saw the trailer for the film.
Right.
Tell me who he was, and tell me what happened to him. Give me this story, even though I know it and I'm involved.
Yeah, actually, he was 42 years old when this happened. 42 years old. He's the director of French L. He had a massive stroke.
Yeah, but before that, what kind of person was he?
Oh, excuse me. Well, he was very gregarious. He
loved wine and women at a good time.
Yeah, he was a bon vivant. You know, he was a connoisseur of many things. And in a sense, if you read the book, he really wrote the script in a sense. I don't want to discredit Ron Harwood anyway. I think he wrote a great script, but really, he says in the book, I wanted to write this theater piece about Monsieur L, a guy who was debilitated. He was a bit cynical, and he came to know failure. And so there's a theater piece where there's a guy lying there inert from the time the curtain rises, and afterwards, at the end, he gets up and walks around and he says, "It was just a dream." Mm-hmm. And by use of the voice off, we get to see the inner thoughts of the main character, and essentially, that's the guide for
the movie you made.
Yeah.
It was well known in Paris. He loved fast cars. He loved a good time.
He knew Azzedine Alaïa.
And he was living this life, and all of a sudden he has a stroke.
Yes.
And he goes to this hospital in Normandy.
Yeah, and Calais, North.
Calais,
yeah,
Normandy, right. And you see out the window, and then what happens is that he can only blink. His left eye was it left?
Well, he had both eyes, but the cornea was getting septic because it wasn't irrigated, so they sew his right eye closed.
And so he therefore has only thing he can do is blink one eye.
Yes.
And you read through the alphabet, and he blinks. He has a therapist, and that's how he writes the book.
Yes.
All right. What does he come to understand about life and death?
He comes to understand that you have to grab onto life and live in the present, and if you're not conscious, you're not alive. It doesn't matter if you've got a body or not.
Because he was in prison, but his mind could still think of it all.
And it's a beautiful... well, I think he learned a lot of things when he said, you know, had I been blind and deaf, or did it take the harsh light of disaster to find one? He wrote to find one's nature. I kind of changed it in the movie, and what he was really saying when he saw his friend reading to him, I didn't know that guy really cared about me. I thought he was relatively superficial. What's he doing here reading to me? And I think he was saying that about himself also. So, you know, I used to know Fred Hughes very well, who worked for Andy Warhol, and his nurse, Darren McCormick, gave me that book years ago. You know what? You make a movie like this, and you hear every sound. Yeah. You know that sound is as much of a part of the... It's really about observing observation, ultimately. Mm-hmm. You really think about what it is to see. And what you haven't told the audience, really, is that it's shot in the first person. So you are...
It's through his...
You are Jean-Dominique Bauby.
Right. And you, in fact, in order to for authenticity, to put yourself inside of him, you, the director,
yes,
went out to this very hospital that he...
That's true. I shot it in the hospital with the first person you see is his real nurse, Virginia. Right. The man who's holding him...
I met,
yeah, who's holding him in his arms is Daniel, his physiotherapist.
Yeah.
And the people at the hospital were very generous with us, and it was like having a whole studio. If we needed to shoot something that was in a corridor on one side and the light was good there at 3:30 in the afternoon, we'd move over to there.
This is when he wakes up, played by Mathieu Amalric, who we also last saw in Munich. He may have been in something since then, but I saw him in Munich. And here he is. He plays Jean-Dominique Bauby.
Right. I don't know if you're going to see him. You're going to see what he sees.
Okay, that's what I mean. Well, go ahead, roll tape.
Fais cet alphabet très lentement, une lettre après l'autre. Dès que j'arriverai à la première lettre de votre mot, clinez. Je l'écrirai et on passera à la lettre suivante, et ainsi de suite.
Oula.
Vous avez envie d'essayer? Vous savez ce que vous voulez me dire? Très bien. Alors,
Attendez,
allons-y.
non, je sais pas quoi vous dire, moi.
E. E est votre première lettre?
Non, pas...
E n'est pas la première lettre.
Non, c'est pas eux, je sais
bien.
même pas quoi vous dire.
Je sais, c'est difficile. E, S, A, R, I, N, T, U, L, O, M,
C'est trop long.
D, P, C,
Je peux pas garder la paupière
F,
ouverte comme ça.
B, V,
Dépêche-toi.
G, J,
J.
J,
J.
je.
Bravo.
C'est ça, votre premier mot est je?
Mon premier mot est je. Je commence par moi.
How did you achieve that? I mean, just give me some sense of the filmmaker's art to do that.
There's a crank camera that Janusz could wind up.
You're a cinematographer.
Yes, Janusz Kaminski is a cinematographer, and so we could shoot on top of and at different speeds, rewind and shoot on top of itself. So and then he's closing the shutter, and sometimes we use the cameraman, not the DP, Berto, has his fingers on the lens, and he's going like that. So it's a very physical kind of activity. Very simple, but everything is in the camera. It's not done in post-production.
The reason the actor is important is you show, because of flashbacks and all of that, you see.
Well, you have another thing where he and Max von Sydow are in a scene, so if you really want to see the actor acting with Max, they're pretty great.
All right, first I want to see this. This is another scene in which Dominique works on communicating. This is what he did, and this is working on communicating by blinking.
Vous sentez d'humeur plus coopérative? Bien. Vous savez, vous et moi, on est là pour progresser. Vous êtes d'accord?
Oui, maîtresse.
Très bien. Alors je commence. E-S-A-R-I-N T-U-L-O-M-M E E-S-A-R-R E-S-A-R-I-N-T-U-L-O-M-D-P-C-C. Merci. 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 Est-ce que je peux vous appeler Jean Do?
Pas compliqué, les femmes, hein.
Merci, Jean Do.
You like when they say women are not so complicated because you know different.
Yeah, but what's interesting about that is Matthew Almeric is in. Now, of course, we've seen two scenes where you don't see Matthew Almeric. We're still talking about him, but he is in a box, in a sound box where he can see the actress. Because you have to realize the actors are all acting to the camera.
Right.
So he's in a box where he can see them, and he can hear them, but they can't hear him. The cameraman can hear him, so he's saying things, and the cameraman can respond with the camera as if it was his eye. But all of his comments, he's ad-libbing these things, and he's extremely funny, and he's very, very smart. And it's really funny because they have no idea, but we, the audience, do. And I like that convention. I mean, it's like the thing where in Heaven Can Wait or something, when, you're thinking, that's Joe Pendleton, don't you know? Don't you recognize your old friend?
Right.
You
shot it in French.
I shot it in French because I thought, first of all, I need to go to the hospital where he was in order to do it correctly. And this was a French man, like you said, a bon vivant, somebody that had a French sense of humor, and it's beautifully written in French. So, okay, American and English people come to the hospital, make believe they're French, and then French people have to watch the movie in French with French subtitles in France. It just seemed absurd to me. But, you know, really the only person that wanted to do this in French with me was my producer, John Killick, who I love. But after 3 days of Jerome Seydoux, who owns Pathé, who was a great guy and was great to me, he figured I wasn't going to change my mind, and he just said, fine. And they really were extremely supportive, and it was a beautiful working situation. I was extremely happy there, and I basically lived there for the year. Olatz, my wife, was in the movie. She plays Marie.
Yes.
She teaches him, she's the one who sticks her tongue out and teaches him how to swallow. And also says yes when he's saying no in the church.
What is it about the film you think has resonated?
I was around people that were, I think that there must be something about not doing something because it's a job. Doing something because it's just something that you have to do or you can't go on another day. I didn't want to make this movie. It wasn't that, hey, give me that book and let me make a movie out of it. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to make the perfume. And I wanted to make the perfume because I thought it was about somebody who created something that was so beautiful that he couldn't share it with anybody because they fell under the spell of it and they lost their critical faculties. So they never knew, and he couldn't share his accomplishment with anybody. It drove him nuts. The fact that he slept in a cave for 7 years, I mean, if you're thinking about making the movie, it's not the movie that was made. I mean, it was the movie that should have been made. But you think, hey, what happens when your main character goes to sleep for 7 years in the middle of your movie? How do you deal with that? Well, I had a way figured out, but I'm not going to talk about that. But it seems like I went to sleep for 7 years trying to do that in order to do this. And when my father died, and Darren came into the room, the script arrived from The Diving Bell and the Butterfly and from Kathy Kennedy. It's like dogged me my whole life, it seemed. And I started to look at it, and the way that Ron Harwood had written this POV into it was very similar to the way I saw Jean-Baptiste Grenouille.
Right.
The people at that hospital were so, well, you met them, selfless. The kind of compassion that they gave to this, they didn't know he was writing a great book in his head. There's a guy lying there. But you see how people can be loving. And also, I think the movie's a bit like 8.5 in a way, just in the sense of this guy's got all these fantasies about all these women. And all these women, in a sense, become one woman to him because he needed them for all of these different reasons to complete his work, to complete the simplest thing of getting a fly off his nose. And in a sense, probably, you know, because I identified so much with my father and wished if I could have traded places with him, if I could have just taken him out of his body for a little while, because I knew his body was holding him prisoner and as he was dying. I'm going to send you my dad's poem because he wrote this. He never wrote a word in his life, but he left me. Darren McCormick wrote down what my father was saying. I asked Darren to write down whatever my dad said while we were in Mexico with the kids. And I'll just tell you the first few lines of it, because it was amazing. He wrote, "You're a gem of a man. I wonder where people like you are hatched. God sent you to me. Do me a favor, give me a scratch. Put me to sleep so I could be reborn. I wish my wife was alive. She'd tell you what a good man I am." And then it just keeps going for like 5 pages. And it just was so, he handed it to me the day my father died, and I read it at his funeral. And then I made a tomb for my parents, and I carved the text into this tomb. So if you walk up to this in Connecticut, in the graveyard, my dad will speak to you from the dead. And in a way, Jean-Dominique Bauby was doing that, and I think he was able to kind of recap his life, see it and relive it in a way, and turn it into art. And in that way, he transgressed death. And he also, one moment I love in the film is after his accident, where the sound goes out, and you hear Claude's voice say, "I had one last thought. I'm going to be late for the theater." Then I sank into a coma. and you know that he has transmuted, transformed, transgressed death, and he has transcended it in some way, and he's in that book. And then when the glaciers come out of the Alaskan Sea again, you feel like he's a part of everything again, and it's not sad. I think it's encouraging in a way. It's obviously, it's a Buddhist film. I mean, I didn't know that I was a Buddhist, but I guess I'm turning into one.
It's great to have you here.
Charlie, it's always good to see you.
Thank you very much. The movie is The Diving Bell and the Butterfly. It will be released in New York and Los Angeles on Friday, November 30th. Friday, November 30th. Julian Schnabel, painter, filmmaker, friend.